United, Tottenham Hotspur, the game that led to the big controversy. But 2-0, Manchester United won that game. And I think it's one of the best United games I've seen in a minute. Casemiro and Fred looked like a couple. They looked like they were in love. They played some beautiful football. Has Ten Hag found his midfield pairing? First, I can see your smile and you nodding your head. But Casemiro and Fred, they worked so well. But let's talk about that game. United 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Kali, I think he has found his first 11. He has found his midfield pairing, and this is what we are used to in the Brazilian team. Remember, both of them combined. This is what we see in the Brazilian midfield, and clearly you could see the understanding between both of them, Fred and Casemiro. And Casemiro was awesome in that match. And this is the Casemiro we are used to in Real Madrid. I think gradually he's beginning to find form, and he's beginning to adjust to the Premiership. Premiership is not an easy league. You know, no matter how good you are, you always take time to adjust to the pace, the fastness, the physicality of the league. So I think he's adjusting gradually, and we are beginning to see the best of him. Also, when you're looking at it, the team now has a balance when he doesn't start Ronaldo, and this is what I've always been saying. There is always a balance. Because if you look at the Hag style, he like pressing from the front. He doesn't press, almost like Pep and the Artetas, they play from the back. Ten Hag plays from the front. He wants the pressing at the front. Ronaldo, off the ball, will not give you that. Ronaldo, clearly, like I've said, age has caught up on him. He cannot give you that 90 minutes extra running, extra pressing off the ball. On the ball, Ronaldo will always be a phenomenon. He will always be a legend. He will always take his chance. He will always give you those goals. But off the ball, this is where he has a problem, and this is where he is lacking. So I think the midfield at this point, he has clearly gotten his midfield right.
Interesting. Eddie, you have Bentancur, you have Højbjerg, you have Bissouma in that midfield. Those three are supposed to be some of the hardest players, hardest workers in any Premier League team. They are supposed to be able to stop Fred and Casemiro, but that didn't happen. Casemiro was enjoying himself, spraying those passes into the channels. Anthony and Sancho enjoyed themselves against Perisic and what's his name on the other side of the field. How were United able, to break that strong midfield of Bissouma, Højbjerg, and Bentancur?
Well, I think Tottenham played into United hands. It's very, very clear when you talk about those three midfielders, they're very defensive minded. Those midfielders, and so what was happening to Manchester United was that those three midfielders, and what Conte likes is structure in his team. So you can see that those midfielders just had a block, and they were almost very stationary. So that meant that if you have the likes of Casemiro and Fred, they were just passing triangles, between the Tottenham players. And I always say that, I don't know what to make of this United team, because it feels to me now, after 11 games, that there are probably a few sides that are suited for the way that Manchester United plays. And so that means that they are probably going to earn a lot of points this season. So maybe we need to start taking them very, very seriously. I was very disappointed with Tottenham, in that game. They came with no plan to attack, no plan to, create any kind of, motions, with the ball, no plan to press, no plan. Basically, they just came there to walk away and steal a draw. I mean, this was the attitude that they played. So I'm not really surprised. I mean, I felt like Bissouma, was very limited in that game. That's not the sort of, performance I resonate with Bissouma. It felt, I don't know what instructions were given to him, but it felt like he wasn't able to even move forward the way that he normally does. Because normally he will break the play and then take the ball and then move forward. But the structure of Tottenham didn't even allow him to do that, because sometimes we were wondering where Harry Kane was. We were wondering, where Son was in the game. So that game played totally into Manchester United hands. So fair play to Ten Hag because he clearly saw that and he decided to exploit that with the performance of Fred, and Casemiro, in that midfield. So that clearly worked because you would have thought that Tottenham would have overpowered them in the midfield, but that wasn't the case.
So,
Kali, sorry, before you come in, I wanted to point out something. If you notice what Conte is doing, I think he's putting the handbrakes on his players. And we could see this against Chelsea. They were very lucky to have gone home with 1 point. We can see it against Arsenal. We can see it against United. Most times when they play the big teams, he goes all defensive. He doesn't allow the creativity, and we know he has good players that can be very creative. We've seen what Son, Hurricane, and the guys in the middle, Basuma and the rest. We know what they can do, but clearly he doesn't allow them play to their strength. He goes all defensive, and like we said, Tottenham has not been playing well this season. They've been having that problem, running away with some 1-0 victory, getting away with some matches they should have lost. And sometimes they get draws in some matches, which they don't deserve. They've really not been playing well. And they've been getting a whole lot of penalties also, which Hurricane talks in, and they walk away. So I don't know what Conte is really doing. Yes, he's taking some points. He's still in contention, but clearly it will start catching up on him because he needs to free up those players to start scoring because we know their strength. We know what they can do. They have history of playing good football. But I don't know his pattern. I clearly can't even point out what is his pattern.
Yeah, I mean, the challenge that Spurs have is the fact that they really don't have a lot of creative players. And if you notice, a lot of the time, it's Kane that is dropping in, to create the passes, that are linking up with Son, and then he runs forward again to try and make something out of it. You look at that lineup, with Bissouma, Højbjerg, Perisic and Doherty. Basically, he was playing five in the middle, and you would say that that would overrun the midfield. But when you don't have any creative player who can take the ball and do something with it, it just means that most things are going to be passive. And United, all they need to do is wait for a mistake because they know that once they break those lines, they are already into the defense and, they're in there to score. So it played well into United's hands. And one thing you have to say with United is that their players are becoming very clinical. And, Anthony, Rashford, they don't need a lot of chances in front of goal. And I think if you need to play the way United plays right now, you want to take your chances because, anytime that if they meet an opposition and, they're able to, score, ahead of United, I feel that they might struggle a little bit. So I think for them, scoring early is very key to how they play and how they want to play.
All right. So it's just amazing. I think I enjoy what Ten Hag is doing with the team. I like the fact that now he's using Casemiro. We know Casemiro is quality and is bringing that quality to bear on the team. But my fear is that the drama that happened at the end of the game, if United goes ahead to lose to Chelsea, this weekend, that might be a problem. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a bit.